Hi developers, welcome to another exciting tutorial. I'm Zuli, as you know. In this video, you're going to learn to build a stunning clothes shopping website. This is more like an e-commerce website, and you're going to learn to build this amazing website with React, and we're going to be styling with CSS so that beginners can learn as well. Okay, so let's get to it. So this is an e-commerce website. We're going to start with the navigation bar. As you can see right here, we have a list, we have the logo, we have the icon and the quantity of items that will be in the icon. Next is the stunning arrow section. You can see right here that we have a bold text at the center. We have the image of a model displaying, and also we have the stripes section that looks very, very amazing. Next thing is this unique collection, which is going to be a display of the products that I want to showcase in this video. So for each of the products card, we have an image, we have the name of the product, we have the price, and then we have the call to action button that is saying add to cart. And then when you click on the call to action button, the item is going to be added to cart. So I'm going to click on this, click on this, click on this, click on this. I'm adding 4 items to cart. And if you check right here, you can see that it's showing that we have 4 items in the cart. Now let's click on this icon, which is going to lead us to the cart page. As you can see it right here in the URL. On this cart page, we have the headers, shopping cart, we have the number of items that we have in cart, and we have this icon that once you click on it, is going to delete the entire item in the cart. But before we do that, let us skip. So we have product description, quantity, price, and then total. Now, for all the products that has been added to cart, you can see that it's been displayed. We have the image, the name, the quantity, control, the price, and the total. If I click on this now, it's going to increase the quantity of these specific items. The price remains the same, but the total is going to show. So you can see right here, the price here is $45. If you multiply it by 2, which is the quantity, is going to give us $90, right? If I increase this to 3, price is $45, total is $135 because this is 3. So 45 times 3 is $135. And this is it right here. Now we have the cart summary. In the summary, you can see the number of items that we have, the subtotal, shipping fee, and then the total costs. Now, if I click on this icon, it's going to delete this item specifically. And you can see that the items has reduced to 5. We have 3 items here, 1 here and 1 here. If I click on this icon, it's going to delete the entire cart and it's going to display your cart is empty. Alright, so that is for the cart page. Now, if I click on this image, it's going to lead me to the page, the details page of that specific product. So this is the image, this is the name, the price, the description, a call to action button. If I click on add to cart, the item has been added to cart. Let's view another product. Let's say we want to view this. You can see the image is displaying, the details is also displaying. If I click on add to cart, this item has also been added to our cart. So you're going to learn to build this fantastic website using React, and we're going to be styling with CSS. Without further ado, let's get started. So you're going to open your code editor. I'll be using VS Code. Then you navigate to terminal. Now you change directory to desktop, and then you're going to create your project folder on the terminal. So you're going to type in this command: npm create vit at latest. Then the name of the project that you want to build is an e-commerce app React template React. Then you press enter. Ensure you're connected to the internet when you're doing this. And now you're going to follow this step. So you're going to see this prompt. If you want to use roll down fight experimental, I'm going to use that. So I'm going to select yes. Then you press enter. Then it's going to ask if you want to install npm and start now. I'm going to select no because because this is a beginner tutorial, so I want to follow the process. So now you're going to change directory to your project folder, e-commerce app React. And then you're going to type npm install, that is to install React dependencies. Press enter. So now you're going to type in code space, then you type in full stop, then you press enter to open your project folder in a new window in VS Code. And now that you have your project folder open, navigate to terminal, On the terminal, we're going to start the server to test if our React app is working. So you're going to type in npm run dev, then you press enter, and you hover on this and click on follow link. So you can see right now that our React app is working perfectly well. We can change the text that we have in app.jsx. We can change what we have here. Let's see. So I'm going to type in subscribe to my channel. If you have not subscribed to my channel, this is a reminder for you to do that. And you would see right here that there's a change right here. Subscribe to my channel. Okay, so our React app is working. Now, the next step is to clean up the entire app so that we can use it. So you're going to type in this REFC to create React snippets. If that does not work, that means you do not have this extension. You do not have this extension, EX7 React Trader / React Native Snippet extension. So ensure you install this extension for it to work. And then the app.css as well. We're going to delete the file because we're not going to be using it for this project. Then our index.css, we'll delete everything there. And then we'll set margin to 0 and padding to 0 as well. So after this now, the next thing we need to do is to get all the pictures that we're going to use for this project. I have that already, so I'm just going to copy it right here. And also the data file that we're going to be using. The link to this will be in the description, so do well to check the description. So I've copied the pictures and then the data file. So let's check out the data file because that's what we're going to be using for the entire project. First off, you need to import the images. I've done that already, and that is going to be the data file will be in the description link. So I've imported the images. Then I created an array of objects to contain all the products that we want to display. So the name of the array of objects is products data. And then we have each object, and each object represents a product. We have the ID of that product, we have the image, we have the name, we have the price, we have categories, and then description. This is the second object representing the second product. We have the ID, the image, the name, the price, category, and description as well. This is the third product right here. We have the ID, the name, the image, price, category, and all of that. So that is what we have in our data file. Now we're going to, in our source folder, we're going to create the component folder and the pages folder. In the component folder, we're going to create the navigation bar folder. We're going to create the hero folder. We'll create the product list folder. We'll create footer. And then we're going to create shop context. And then we'll create another folder for brand. And that is what we're going to have in the components. Now for the pages, we're going to have the home page folder. We'll have the cart page. And also we're going to have the product details page. So these are the three pages that we have. We have the cart page, the home page, and product details, which is the same way we have it right here. If you click on this icon, it will lead you to the cart page, right? This is the home page. And then if I click on the image of the product, it's going to lead me to the product details page. Okay, so those are the three pages that we have in this project. So we've created the pages and the components. So all of the components is going to be in the home page except the navigation bar and the footer. So now we need to set up our route. Before setting up the route, we need to install React Route add-on, and also we need to install React Icon because we're using icon right here. So we need to install React Route add-on, and also just type in React Icons. So this is for React Route add-on. If you're on this website, npmjs.com/package/react-router-dom, then you're on the right page. Just copy the installation code and then you paste it on the terminal. Our server is currently on and I do not want to stop the server, so I'm just going to open another terminal and I'm going to paste the code that I copied, the installation code for React router DOM. I'm going to paste it right here. Now for React icons, you can see the first website is react-icon.github.io. Visit that website because we're going to be getting icons from that. This is where we're going to search all our icons from. Let's say you want to get user icon, just type in user, and then you're going to see list of icons that match that keyword that you can select from. You're going to see that in action when we start using it. And then the second website is npm package react icon, and that is what we want to install. So select this, then copy the installation code as well, and then you paste it on the terminal. So if you check package log.json in our dependencies, you can see that React Router DOM has been installed. Once React icons is installed as well, you're going to see it there. I'm going to show you that as well. So React icon has been installed as well, and you can see React icons version 5.5.0, and we have React Router DOM version 7.9.4. So we've installed that. Now let us set up our route. So in app.jsx, we're going to have the navigation bar. But before that, in our components, we only created the folders. We did not create the GSX and CSS file for each of them. So I'm going to create the GSX file for this, brands.gsx. I'm going to copy brands, press enter, type in refc to create React snippet. Once it shows this, React arrow function export component, just select this, and then the snippet will be created. Then create the CSS file, brand.css. Okay, we'll close this now. I'll do the same for footer, hero, navbar, product list, but not for shop context. So I'm going to pause this video while I do all of that. So now that I have created the GSX and CSS file for each of these components and the pages, we can now start setting up our website. So now in our app.gsx, we're going to have our navigation bar first because we want the navigation bar to be at the top of all the pages, be it the home page, the cart page, the product details page. The navigation bar should always be at the top of the page. So I'm going to mount navbar here. I'm going to import it as well. Import navbar from component/navbar/navbar, and then we're going to have the footer. The footer is going to be at the bottom of all pages, so I'm mounting the footer here. Since they are in the same component, they're in the same folder, I'm just going to copy this, and all I'm going to do is paste it, then highlight this navbar here, Ctrl D, then I'll change this to footer. So I've imported this footer now. Now in between the navigation bar and the footer, we're going to set up the route. Okay, so after the navigation bar, we want our home page to come next. So I'll set up routes with an S from React Router DOM. So it might take a while to load and it might be fast. So you can see right here, React Router DOM. Just select this, and this is going to import routes with an S. Then we'll now set up each route. From the route as well will be from React Router DOM. So you're just going to select it as well. Then we'll set the path / and then the elements will now mount the page. So we want this to display the home page. Okay. Then we're going to set up the route for our cart page. Then we'll set up the route for our cart page. We'll set the path to the /cart, and then we'll mount the page cart, and then I'll close this now. Then we're now going to set up the last page that we have is the product details page. So we'll set up the route for product details /product/:ID. Okay, you can see that this is quite different from the way we set up route for carts and for home page, and I'm going to explain why. So let us mount the product details page itself. Close this and close this as well. Now for all these pages, we need to import them as well. So we're going to import home page from ./pages/carts /home page. Then for cart page, since they are in the same folder, I'm just going to copy, then highlight this, Control D, then change this to cat. I'll do the same thing and change this, highlight this, then Control D. I'll change this to product details. Okay, now for the product details page, this part that we set up here is a dynamic part, because for product details, we want to view each of the products by their ID. When I showed you the asset folder earlier, each of these products in this array of objects has an ID, right? And that is what we're using to uniquely identify this object, this product object. This is a product data array, and each of this is a product object. And we want to identify each of these product objects by their ID. So we're using this ID. ID for this is 1, ID for this is 2, ID for this is 3, ID for this is 4, and so on and so forth. So to uniquely identify each of these, we're using ID, right? And now if you want to view the details of each of these products, we're going to use the ID to uniquely identify them. And that is why we have a dynamic part here. So let me show you this as well. This is our products list, right? If we want to check this product, if I click on the image, it leads us to the product details page. Now, if you check the URL, you can see /product/1. The ID of this product is 1, and that is why we have /1. And that is what helps us to identify this product object, to display it from the list of this object. We have several product lists here, and then we can identify each of them by their ID. This is the 6th product. You can see it right here in the URL, and it's displaying just that product and no other product. Okay, so that is the job of a dynamic part. So now that we have this already, we're now going to open main.jsx to wrap our application with browser router so that we can navigate between pages. So I'm just going to turn this into a comment, Control/, and then where we have the app, I'm going to wrap it with browser router from React Router DOM. So once you type in browser router, you're going to see to select React Router DOM. Just select this, and then you're going to cut this browser router, Control X, and you put it after the application. So we've wrapped our entire application with browser router so that we can navigate between pages. Now, if we go and check our page, the first thing we're going to see is the navigation bar, then the home page, and then the footer. Now let's check. So we have the navbar, home page, and the cart, right? If in the URL, if I navigate to the cart page, you'll see we have navbar, cart page, and footer. Like I said before, the navigation bar is going to be at the top of all pages, footer will be at the bottom of all pages, and then every other page, be it the home page, the cart page, and the product details, will be in between the navigation and the footer. So if we head back to our home page, you would see right here, this is the home page. So now let's start building so that we can have a website like this. We're going to start with the navigation bar. But right here in our navigation bar, we have this font, and also we have the font in the hero section. So we need to search for the font first from Google Fonts. So I'm going to type in Google Fonts. So we'll visit the Google Fonts website, and now you're going to search for Antonio. We're going to be using this font right here. Just select the font, click on Get Fonts, and then I've selected different fonts, so that's why we have all of that displaying. And here, you're just going to click on Get Embedded Code. So I want to get the embedded code for Antonio. We're using the import row since we're building a web app. If you're building an Android app, this is it, iOS, Flutter. We're building a web app, and then we're going to be using the import row. So the CSS for, you're going to copy the property, and in the index.css, we're just going to paste it as a comment. Okay, the weight is going to be 600. So we're going to be using this font, the optical sizing, the weight, and the style for this project. So we'll come back to that. So we have this now. I'm just going to cancel it, then we can start building the navigation bar. So I'm going to open the nav bar, and then we can start working on it. Also, we need to set the background color for the entire body. This is the background color that we're using. Then we can start working on our navigation bar. So for the nav bar, we're going to have a div tag. Inside this div tag, we'll have 3 div tags. So for the first div tag, we'll give it a class name of link. So in this div tag, we're going to have the links in form of lists. So we'll have 2 list items. The first one will take home, and the second one will take clothes. And for the second div tag, we're going to give it a class name of logo, and then it's going to take an h2 tag. So this is what we're using for the logo. Then for the third div tag, we're going to have our cart. So we'll come here, type in cart. And then you're going to see several icons that you can just choose from. So you can just select from any of this icon. So I'm going to be using this icon right here. So I'm just going to copy, and then I'll paste it here. Then I'll copy the tag as well, and I'm going to paste it where I need the tag. So I need it in between this div tag. So I'm just going to paste it right here. So after this, we're going to have a p tag for the quantity of items that will be in the cart. So for now, I'm going to use 0, and later on, we're going to have the quantity value itself. For now, we're just going to use 0 as the placeholder. So this is what we should see in our project. You can see home, clothes, the logo, the cart, and the cart quantity. So we're going to style our navigation bar so it can look like this. So let's style. So I'm going to open my navbar.css file, and right here in navbar.gsx, I'm going to import my CSS file into my GSX file. So navbar.css, and I'll start styling. So I'll give this first div a class name of navbar, and I'll start with this navbar container. I'll set the padding to 30 pixels. I'll set padding inline to 80 pixels. Display will be flex. Justify content, space between. Then we're going to have the link. We have a UL tag here, so I'm just going to do .link UL. I'll set the display to flex, and I'll set the gap to 20 pixels. Then we have the list items, so we'll do the same. Link UL li. So for each of this list item, this style, I'm going to set it to none. The font size would be 18 pixels. The font weight, 18 pixels. The font weight will be 600. Text transform, uppercase. Then we have the second div tag for the logo, and we have an h2 tag here. So .logo h2, we'll set the font size to 1.5 rem, and then the other properties will be from the font family that we got in Google Fonts. So I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, then we have the other div tag, which is the last div tag, and I'm going to give it a class name of nav icon wrapper. I'm going to style it, and then for this p tag as well, I'll give it a class name of nav quantity, and the icon itself, I'll give it a class name of nav icon. So we'll start by styling this nav icon wrapper. We'll set the display to flex. Position will be relative, and then cursor will be pointer. Then we have the nav icon itself. I'm going to set the font size to 34 pixels. Margin left will be 35 pixels. Then we have the nav quantity. I'm going to set background color red. Position will be absolute. Right will be -9 pixels. We'll set the top to be -11 pixels. We'll set the font size to 12 pixels. The height and width would take 20 pixels. Then we'll set border radius to 50%. The text color would be white. I will set display to flex. Then justify content at the center, align items at the center as well. Okay, so this is what we have. And the font is not applying, so we need to visit the website once more. Okay, so we have Antonio right here. Get embedded code. Okay. Okay, so we don't copy this import row. So I need to copy this now. And then I'll paste it in index.css. So before this, I forgot to do that. Okay, so we're going to have this now. Okay, you can see that we have the fonts now. So ensure you copy this first. What we have in between the style tag, the opening and closing tag, before you now copy the CSS property. Okay, so once that is done, you can see that we have this now. Next thing now is our hero section before this fashion brand. So let us create the hero section. So I'll close this, close everything that have to do with navbar. Then I'm going to open my hero component. So for the hero section, we have an image that we're going to use, and the image is right here, hero.png. So first I need to import the image. Import hero image from asset / the name of the image is hero.png. Okay, and we can now start with our hero section. The hero section is very simple. We'll have a div tag with a class name of hero container. Inside this container, we're going to have another div tag with a class name of hero content. And then we'll have an h1 tag with the name, with the title classic fashion. Then we'll have our image tag. And in the source, we're going to use the curly braces, and then we'll use the name that we gave the image. So the hero section is going to be in our home page. We're going to mount our hero section in the home page. So I'll come right here, and then I'm going to type in hero. So once you see from /component, just select this, and then we should have our hero section right here. Okay, so we're going to style so that it's going to look like this as well. So I'm going to open hero.css, but before that, we need to import our CSS file into our GSX file. So we'll start by styling the hero container. I'm going to paste that here. The height will be 120 VH. I'll set display to grid. Place item at the center. Then we have hero content, text at the center. Then we have an h1 tag and also an image. So .hero content h1. I'm going to set the font size to 12 rem, and the other property will be from index.gsx. We're going to be using this. I'm just going to paste it here. Okay. Then next thing to style is the image. So I'm going to give the image a class name of hero image. So I'm just going to copy this, and then hero content, no, hero content, hero image. We'll set the width to 1000 pixels. The height will take 840 pixels. Object width contain, and then we'll set margin top to -12 area. So this is what we have now. This is the hero section. Now for the brand stripe section, I'm going to close this, then open this brand section here. So for the brands, we're going to have two div tags. Two div tags. So the first div tag will take a class name of stripe top, and the second div tag will take class name of stripe bottom. So we'll have our another list, and then we're going to have 5 list items. We'll have hot fashion, unique designs. I'm just going to use the same name, ultra. So just have hot fashion here, and then here as well. Then unique design here. Okay, I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this and paste it in the stripe bottom. So I'll paste it for both. And beside each of these list items, we want to use a star logo, a star icon. So I'm just going to come here and type star, and I'm going to be using this icon. Let's see, not this. I'm going to be using, let me see, I want an icon that looks very unique. So I think I should use this icon. I'm just going to use this icon. This looks unique enough. So I'll copy the imports, and then I'll paste it here first. Then I'll copy the tag, and I'm going to paste it where I need it. So I want it for all of these list icons. So okay. So now I'm going to mount the brand in the home page immediately after hero section. So we'll have brands, and I'm just going to, either you can wait to select from the options so that you don't have to import, but if you do not want to, ensure that you import. Okay, so this is what we have now. This is what we have, unique fashion. So now we need to style so that it's going to look like this. So I'm going to open brands.css, close this on page, then import my CSS into my GSX file. So I'll start with this div tag. I'm going to name it brand container. So I'll copy this and then paste it here. Position will be relative. I'm going to set the width to 100%. The height will take 320 pixels. I'm going to set the overflow to hidden, and I'm going to set the margin top to -4 rem. Then we have the top and the bottom, strip top and strip bottom. There should be an hyphen here. Okay, so for stripe top I mean, and stripe bottom, I want to use the same CSS property. So I'm going to set the position to absolute. I'm going to set left to -10%. I'm going to set the width to 180%. The height for each of them will be 70 pixels. The background color would be black. The text color would be white. I'll set display to flex, align items at the center, justify content center, overflow here will be hidden as well. Then we're now going to style each of them. So for stripe top, I'll set the top to 15%. From the top, it should be 15%. Transform, it should rotate in minus 10 degrees. Then I'm going to set Ctrl Z. Okay, I'm going to set the Z index to 2. Now for stripe bottom, from the bottom, it should be 20%. Transform, rotate 10 degrees. Z index, I'm going to set that to 1. Then we have the lists. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it here, and then include this on ordered list tag. So I can style. I'll set the display of this to flex. We'll set gap of 250 pixels between each of the list items. I'll set the list style to none. I'll set the font size to 1.2 Arial, and the font weight will take 600. Then we have the list items. So list items for each of them. I'm going to set opacity to 0.95, and I'm going to set letter spacing to 0.5 pixels. And now this is what we should have. Okay, so this is what the final look. This is the final result, and that is the same thing that we have here. Okay, so the next step now is the product list, which is to display all the products that we have, and that is where the data file will come in. So I'm going to close everything that has to do with brands, and I'm going to open the product list folder, open product list.gsx. But before that, we need to work on our shop context. So I'm just going to create shop context.gsx, and then we'll start working on this. But first I need to explain why we're going to create our context before the product list. So I want you to think of shop context as your app global store that keeps your app organized and centralized. So in this project now that we're building, we have the product list, we have product details page, we have cart page, and all of these need to access the same data, which is this data that we have here in our data file. Right here, they need to access this product data, right? So we need to keep the data in a centralized place that would make it easier for every other component and pages, components like product list, pages like cart page, product details page, to have access to this data file and update it easily. So that is what the shop context is for, is the global store for our application. So this is where we're going to have our data file. And another reason why we need shop context is to avoid props drilling. So instead of having to pass product and cart data through multiple component levels, we can access it in the context directly without having to pass it down as props. So that's why we're using shop context. It is our global store. This is where we're going to have our data files. This is where we're going to have functions like add to cart function, remove from cart, every other function that we're going to need, and that is going to be needed in our product. Like in product list now, let me show you the finished product, right? This is product list. If I click on this button, we can add item to cart. That means we're using the add to cart function, right? So that means that we need the add to cart function in product list. In product details page as well, we can add product to cart. If we view the product, we can add it to cart, right? So that means we need the add to cart function in product details. Also in the cart page itself, we need the function. In the cart page as well, if I click on cart, this is the product data. We can see the image of that product that has been added to cart, the name of the product, the quantity, the price, the total, right? So that means we need this data file as well in cart page itself. So instead of having to pass those data as props, instead of having to pass it down across multiple component levels, we should have the functions and the data right here in shop context, and every other component will just access the functions from shop context, the variables and functions from shop context. So that is what shop context is for basically. So let's say in cart page, we need the product data, we'll get it from shop context. In the product details page, we need the add to cart function, we'll get it from shop context. The first thing we need to do is to create our context. So we need to create shop context. I would use create context. Because we're going to need the values that we'll have in shop context, the components, the values in other parts of our application, I'm going to add export so that we can have access to it. And then next thing is to import our data file. We need to import product data from data file. And next is to create the shop context provider component. So we'll create shop context provider. We'll pass children. This will be in a curly braces, not a square. Children. And then inside it, we are now going to have our return statement, and this is where we're going to return all the values and functions that we're going to have in shop context provider. So we'll do shop context dot provider. In between it, we'll have children as well. And right here, we're going to have the values and functions. Okay, so I'm going to have value here. We're going to be having all the variables and functions. Next thing is to export our shop context provider. Export default shop context provider. Okay, so we've created our shop context now, and you can see it. So this is what it should look like. Then we're going to have our functions in between. So now in our main.jsx, we need to wrap our entire application with shop context so that all the entire application, the components, pages in the application can have access to it. So we'll do shop context provider. Shop context provider, then I'm going to add it here. So we're going to close main.jsx file, and now let us continue. So first step, since we want to work on product list now, we need to create our product states. So I'm going to create a state variable that is going to store the product data, the objects in the product data in the product state, and then a setter function to update it if there's a change. So we're going to have const products set products be equals to use state. By default, I'm going to store the product data in product. So I'm going to have product data. So this product variable here is holding. You can see if you overrun it, we have ID, image, name, price, category, and description. And that's the same thing that we have in our products data. Okay. So I'm going to add the product value here so that other components can have access to it. So we'll have product right here. Since we have this product state here in our shop context, we can use it in any component and any page. So we're going to use it here in product list. So to use it, we need to extract it from shop context. So we're going to have const product will be equals to use context shop context. Okay, so we can use this product state right here in shop context. We can display all the data that we have, the objects that we have in that product, this product data array in product list. So let us create our product list. So we'll create a div tag right here, and I'm going to give it a class name of product in lowercase product list. Inside this product list, we'll have an h2 tag for this, our unique collection. Then we'll have a div tag for the product display. So I'll give it the class name of product display. Inside this product display, we're going to map over the product states that we extracted from shop context. So we're going to have products dot map pass product to display the product. So before displaying the product, we need to destructure product, and I'm going to tell you why we're destructuring product. So const ID, we need image of the product, we need the name of the product, and then price. All of this will be equals to product. So destructuring product will make your code looks cleaner and easier to understand, and you're going to see why as well. So let us display our products. We'll have our return statement here, and then we'll have our div tag. So we want to display each of the products when we map it. Like we've already done the mapping here. Now this is for each of the products. So I'm going to give this a class name of product card. So we want to display a product card. So now in the product card, we're going to have the image of the product. We're going to have a div tag for the name and the price. So we'll have an h4 tag. Here we'll have the name, and then p tag we'll have the price. Now, for each of these products card, we need to uniquely identify each of the products. Remember that this product here is a state that we extracted from shop context right here, and this state variable is holding this product data. And for this product data, which is this file that we have right here, this is a product object, this is another product object, this is another product object. So to uniquely identify each of them, we are using the ID, right? So in our products list, to display each of these objects as a card, we'll pass the key, and the key is going to be the ID, so that we can display each product card as a product object, and display each product object in a card. Can display each product object in a card. So we're going to display all of this in a card. Now for the image, we're going to pass the image. Remember that we have the structured product. Now, if we did not destructure product here, let's say we have this as a comment, we will not have ID instantly. It's going to be product.id, and here as well will be product.image. The name as well will be product.name, the price will be product.price. But to make our code looks more readable and to avoid repetition, we just destructured. So we're just going to have ID, image, right here we'll have name, and here we'll have price. Okay, then after this div tag, after this first div tag, we're going to have our call to action button that would say add to cart. So this is what the product is, and then we're going to mount it in our own page. So product lists. So I'm going to select this so that it will just import directly. And now if we check, you're going to see each of these products has been displayed, okay, as a card. It starts with the image, the name of the product, the price, and then our call to action buttons that are saying add to cart. So now we're going to style so that our card is going to look like this. So let's style. So now we're going to close this home page, and then I'm going to open product list.css. But first, I need to import my CSS file into my GSX file. So /product list.css, and then we'll start by styling this product list container. We'll set the max width to 1200 pixels. We'll set the margin. Then we'll set padding to 20 pixels. All text should be at the center. Then margin top should take minus 30 pixels so that it will move up well. Then we have an H2 tag right here, followed by the product display. So we'll start with the H2 tag first, but I just want to copy this. So product list H2. So for the H2 tag, we'll set margin bottom to 20 pixels. Then the font size should take 3 rem. The color should take this color code. And then the font family, we're going to get it from index.css. So I'm going to copy this and paste it right here. Next thing to style is the product display. So for product display, we're going to set the display to grid template columns repeat. We'll set it to autofill. Then the minimum and maximum value will take 250 pixels per card, and then we'll set the gap to 20 pixels. Next thing here is the product card. So for product card, we'll set the background color to white, and then we'll have a border around it, 1 pixel solid with this color code. Border radius will be 8 pixels. Padding will take 15 pixels. Next is the image. I'll give it a class name of product image. So I'm going to style this product image. So for the product image, I'll set the max width to 100%. I'll set border radius to 8 pixels. I'll set margin bottom to 10 pixels. The height of the image will take 250 pixels. Transform scale of 0.9. We want to reduce it a bit. So when we hover, it's going to take the normal form. So transform 0.2 seconds, ease in out. That's for the transition. And then when the user hovers on the image, I want to set transform scale of 1. Okay. Next thing here is product info. We have an H4 tag and we have the price. So for product info H4, we're going to set the font size to 1.2 rem. We'll set the margin 10 pixels, 0, 5 pixels. Color, we'll take this color code. And then product info P tag, I'm going to set the font size to 1.5 rem, and the color will take this color code. Then we have our call to action button. So I'm just going to copy this here. So we'll set the width to 100%. We'll set margin top to 10 pixels. Display will be block. Background color, we'll take this color code. The text color will be white, and then border will be set to none. The font size of the text in the button will be 1 rem. I'll set the cursor to pointer. I'll set border radius to 5 pixels, and finally the padding to 10 pixels. And this is what we have now, and it looks exactly like this. Okay. Context, so that other components can have access to the card state and update the card state without having to pass it down as props. So we're going to have our cards right here in shop context. So first off, we need to create the state variable that is going to hold the cards data, and then the setter function to update the cart when there is a change. And by default, we're going to initialize the cart data with an empty array. So we're going to have const cart setter function set cart be equals to use state. We're going to initialize it with an empty array. So now after this, we're now going to create another state variable and a setter function for quantity. So the state variable is going to store the quantity of items that we have in our cart, and a setter function that is going to update the quantity if there is a change. And by default, we're going to initialize the quantity with 0. So I'm going to have const quantity setter function. Oh no, quantity. Yeah, comma setter function set quantity. Use state would be 0. Also, we'll create a state variable for the total price and the setter function to update the total price, and we're going to initialize that to 0 as well. So I'm going to have const total setter function, comma, set total, use state. By default, we initialize the total with 0 as well. Then we can now start writing the functions. So the first function that we're going to write is to calculate the total price of items that we have in the cart. So we're going to be using use effect for this so that it can run an effect whenever the price change. So we're going to have use effect. Then we'll create this function right here. So the first is to use the reduce method to calculate the total price. So I'm going to have const. This variable here is going to store the total price. So total will be equals cart dot reduce, open our bracket. We're going to have our accumulator, comma, current item. Okay, so let me close this so that we can have a larger screen. Now, we are now going to create a variable to convert the price to a number, and then we use an if statement to check for invalid prices. If the price is invalid, if the price is not invalid, then we'll return the accumulator. So let's do that. Let's convert first. And price as a number is going to store the conversion. So price as number will be equal to, we want to convert to a floating point number. We want to convert the current item price. So we're going to have current item dot price. Okay. Then skip invalid prices if the price is not a number. So if price as a number is not a number, we're just going to return accumulator. But if it is, which is going to be after this if statement, we're going to add price times quantity to the accumulator. So we're going to return accumulator plus price as number multiplied by current item dot amount, the amount that we have for the current item. And I'm going to initialize the accumulator with 0. Okay. And so we're going to update the total state once we have the total. Set total. We'll call the set total function, and then we'll update the state with the new total. Okay, so this is basically the new total. We're using the reduce method, and then we're working on all this logic. So first we use the reduce method to calculate the total price. Then we're converting the price to a number. So the current item price, we're converting it to a number, and then we use an if statement to check if the number that we converted is not a number, then it should return accumulator. If it returns a string, if the price as number is not a number, it should return accumulator. If it is a number, then we want to add the accumulator with the price that we've gotten multiplied by the current item times amount. Then we're updating the total state. And then I'm going to add cart here as a dependency array to ensure that the use effect runs when the carts change. Okay, so that is for total price. Next thing we need to work on now is the quantity of items we have in the carts. So we'll use effects for this as well. First off, we need to check if the cart is not empty. So if cart exists, then we'll use the reduce method to sum up the quantity of all the items. So const amount would be equals to cart does reduce. We're going to have our accumulator and then current item as well. Then we'll return accumulator plus current item dot amount. So basically we're adding the current item amount to the accumulator, and then I'm going to initialize the accumulator with 0 as well. Now we can now update the quantity. So we're going to have set quantity amount, and I'm also going to pass cart here as dependency array to ensure that the use effect runs whenever the cart changes. After this, the next function that we need to work on is the function to add a product to carts. Okay, so I'm going to name the function add to cart. So we're going to have const add to cart is the name of the function. We're adding products and ID. So I'm going to have products and ID right here. Okay, so first we need to create a new item with the initial quantity of 1. So I'm going to have const new item will be equal to spread the products, comma, we initialize the quantity with 1. Next step is to find if the product is already in the cart. So we're going to have const, and we'll save that in cart item in this variable. So we use find method cart.find item. We'll check if the item ID matches. So we're going to return. We want to find if the product already exists in the cart, just to return it. So this is what we're using to check if the product already exists in the cart. If it does exist in the cart, if the product is already in the cart, we'll map over the cart to update the quantity of the existing item. So we're going to check if cart item, that means if the product exists in the cart, which is this right here. Okay. If the product exists in the cart, let's map over it. So const new cart would be, we'll spread the cart dot map pass item. Then we'll check if the current item ID matches the product ID, then increase the quantity. So if item dot ID equals ID, then you return spread item, comma, amount. We'll update the amount with cart item dot amount. And if the product ID, if the item ID does not match with the product ID, we're just going to return the item. So I'm just going to use an else statement here. Else return item. Okay. Then we're now going to update the cart state with the updated quantity. So we're going to set cart with new carts. Okay, so basically what we did here, or better still, the first line of code here is to create a new item with the initial quantity of 1. Then for these 3 lines of code, we're checking if the product is already in the cart. We want to return the product that is already in the cart, the ID of the product that is already in the cart. Then for this line of code right here, we're using an if statement to check if product already exists in the cart, which is the first 3 lines of code before this. If the product already exists in the cart, we're mapping over the cart to update the quantity of the existing item. Then we also want to use an if statement to check if the current item ID matches the product that already exists in the cart. Then increase the quantity to 1. That means we have the product in the cart before, but the user still wants to add the same product again to the cart. So we're checking what the user is adding now with what's already exists in the cart. If they match, then increase the quantity by 1 again. Otherwise, return the item as it is. That means add the product newly to the cart because it does not exist in the cart, right? And then if the two conditions are met, if either it exists in the cart, we re-add it to the cart. That means we increase the quantity by 1, or it does not exist in the cart, then we add it newly to the cart. We are updating the cart states with the new cart. Okay, so then we also need to check if the product is not in the cart at all. We want to add it newly to the cart. So we're going to use an else statement where this if ends. Set cart. We want to update our cart states with the new cart, new item, and then we'll display a toast notification. Toast from React Toastify dot success product added to cart. Okay, so let's see. React Toasty file has been imported, but in our app.gsx, we're yet to use the toast container. So right here, I'm going to have toast container from React Toastify, and I'm going to close this right here. Okay, so back to our code. I hope this line of code is understood. We're using an if else statement to check if the cart item exists. That means this part, if it exists, if any product is already added to carts. Okay, so if the cart item exists, we'll map over the cart to update the quantity of the existing item. And we're using an if statement to check if the current item ID matches the product ID, the existing product in the cart. If the new item that the user wants to add, if it matches, then we're increasing the quantity. If it doesn't, then we want to return the item as it is and update the new cart. And if the item is not in the cart at all, then we are adding it newly to the cart. So this is our add to cart function. So the next function now, after this add to cart, is going to be the function to clear the entire cart items. So I'm going to name the function clear cart. So I'm going to have const clear cart. Okay, so to delete the entire cart, we just need to set the cart state to an empty array. So I'll use the set cart function. Then I'll set it to an empty array. And also I'll display toast notification. Toast the success cart empty. Okay. Then the next function now is to write a function to remove a specific product from the cart. I'm going to name the function remove from cart. So const remove from cart will be equals to, first we need to filter out the products with the specified ID. So we need to get the products. We need to get the ID of the products that we want to remove from our cart. So we're going to have const new cart will be equals to cart dot filter item. Now we'll keep only items whose ID doesn't match, and we'll remove the item that their ID match. So we're going to return item that the ID does not match. So item.id that is not equals to the ID of the one that we want to remove. That's the only product that we're going to be keeping. Then we're going to update the cart state. So set carts with the new carts in this function. Also, we'll display a toast notification. Okay, set carts set. We'll display a toast notification. Toast dot success products removed successfully. Okay, so this is a function to remove products from carts. Then the next function that we need to work on now is to increase the quantity of a specific product in the cart. So I'm going to name the function increase amounts or increase products. So let's just name it increase quantity, and we're increasing specifically by ID. The first step here is to find the product in the cart by its ID. So we're going to have const cart item will be equals to carts dot find method. We want to find the item, so we're going to pass in item. We want to find the item dot ID that matches with the ID of the one that we want to increase. When we find it, we're now going to call the add to cart function and reuse the logic to increase the quantity. So we're just going to have add to cart. We'll call the cart item where we're storing the ID, and then we'll pass the ID as well. Okay, so this is the function to increase the quantity of a specific item in the cart. Now let's write the function to decrease the quantity of a specific item in the cart. I'm going to name the function decrease quantity. And we're decreasing specifically by ID, so I'm going to pass ID right there as well. So first off, we need to find the product in the cart by its ID. So we're going to do the same thing, const cart item is equal to cart dot find item, then return item dot ID that matches with the ID of the one we want to decrease in the cart. Then next is to check if the product exists in the cart. We'll map over the cart to update the quantity. That is to reduce it. So we're going to check if cart item const new carts be equals to cart.map item. If the current item ID matches the product ID, then we'll decrease the quantity by 1. So we'll do if item.id equals ID, then return item, then we'll decrease the amount, cart item dot amount, we'll decrease the amount by 1. Okay, and if it does not match, we'll return the item as it is. So return item. Now we're going to update the cart state. Okay, if the product quantity, so we use an else statement here, else. If the product quantity is less than 2, we're just going to remove the product from the cart. So if cart item dot amount is less than 1, then we'll remove it from the cart. We'll just call the remove from cart function and then pass the ID of that product that we're trying to decrease. Okay, if it's less than 2 here, So we have all the functions right here. So this is basically all the logic that we're going to be using. And now we need to add them to these values here so that other components can have access to it. We need the cat state. We need the add to cat function. We need remove from cat function. We need the clear cat function. We need the increase quantity. We need the decrease quantity. We need quantity itself. And also we need total states. Okay, so we have all the functions right here. Now that we're done with all the functions that we're going to use for our cat, we're going to start building the cats page. So I'm going to open cats.gsx. Also, I'm going to create a new file for cats details, and you're going to see why I want to do that. So that's catdetails.gsx. So let me explain now. Let me add an item to carts. Let me add about 5 items. Okay, this is a project that we're trying to rebuild, right? Currently, this is where we have stopped. This is where we have, right? Now, this is the carts page that we want to build. Okay, so for this carts page now, this is the carts header, shopping cart, items, and then this icon to delete all the entire items from the cart. This is the subheader, product description, quantity, price, and total. Now, for this cart, we have the left and the right. The left side has everything that we have added, and the right side has the cart summary. Inside this left section, we have the header, like I've said, and the subheader, and then we have the cart details. The cart details is the component that is going to display the specific items that were added to carts, like this item, the image, the name of the item, the icon to delete the item from cart, the quantity control, the price, and then the total. Okay, so this section right here is the cart details. So that is why I'm creating another component that we're going to mount inside our cart page itself. So that's why we have this. So let's create the cart page first. So for our cart page, before we start building it, we need to extract some variables and functions that we're going to use on the cart page. So we need the cart itself, we need the clear cart function, we need total, we need quantity. So let me copy this. So right here I'm going to have const cart, we need total, so we use total, and then we need the clear cart function, clear cart, and also we need quantity. So we're going to have quantity as well, and everything will be equals to use context, since we're extracting it from our shop context. Shop context. So now that we've extracted, we can now build the UI. So I'll create a div tag. I'll give it a class name of cart container. Inside the container, we're going to have the left and the right section of the cart. So we'll have cart left and cart right. We'll start with the left section. So inside that left section, now for this cart details, let's just have REFC. Let's create the snippet. Okay, let's continue. For the left section, we'll start with the header and the subheader. So I'm just going to create 2 headers. One is going to be the header and the other one will be the subheader. So for the first one, it will take shopping cart. We'll have another h1 tag. For items, and then the items is going to take the quantity. We want to display the number of items that we have in cart. Then the trash icon. So there's another way to use React icons. Instead of going to the website and then choosing from it, you can just type in the keyword. I'm just going to type in trash, and React is going to suggest a list of icons that will match the keyword. It might take a while depending on how fast your internet is. So you can see now there are several icons right here. that I can select from. So I'm going to use this other icon, this one here, and I want to ensure that when the user clicks on the icon, we clear the entire cart. So I'll use the clear cart function. Then for the second header, we're going to have 4 span tags. The first one will take product description. Then the second span tag will take quantity. The third one will take price. And the last one will take total. So this is for the header. After this header, we're now going to have the cart details. So cart detail. Inside this cart detail is where we're going to display our cart, the items that will be in this cart details. So we need to map over it. So, but first we need to check if we have 0 items in the cart. We want to display that the cart is empty. If we have more than 0 item in the cart, then we should display the cart detail itself. So we're going to do cart dot length greater than 0. We'll use a ternary operator to check that. Then we'll do this. If not, we'll do this. Right? So if it is more than, if the number of items in the cart detail is in the cart is more than 0, we want to display our cart. We want to map over the cart item to display the cart details. So we'll map over the cart to display the item. Then display the cart details. Cart details. Then I'll pass the item as props. Item will be equals to item, and then the key to identify each of the item. Then I'll close this. So if the cart length is more than 0, we want to display, we'll map over the cart to display the cart details. If it is less than 0, then we want to use a p tag to display a text saying that our cart is empty. So here we have it, your cart is empty. So we're done with the left section of the cart. Now for the right section of the cart, we'll have an h2 tag for the header that will say cart summary, and then we'll have 4 span tags, 4 container for summary item. The first summary item will take 2 span tags. First item, number of items, and then the second span tag will take the quantity. The second summary item will take 2 span tags as well. First one will take subtotal, and then the second summary item will take total. We'll just add the value. Then the third summary item, shipping fee, and then the second one will take this. Then we'll have 2 span tags as well. This will take total cost, and this will take the total value. Then after all of these div tags, we're going to have the button that will take this text. Okay, so this is for the cart, and now this is what our cart is going to display for us. Before showing what the cart should look like, in the navigation bar, we need to, for the cart, we need to ensure that if the user clicks on this icon, it leads them to the cart page, right? So we need to extract the, first off, we need to establish a link between this cart icon and the cart page. So I'm going to use a link tag from React Router DOM. Link, when you see React Router DOM, you're just going to select that. So link from React Router DOM. You wrap the entire thing, wrap this entire div tag with link, and then I'm going to set the path. So this is going to /cats. Okay, because when we're setting up the path for our cat page, we have the path is /cats, and it has to match with this. Okay, so this is going to lead us to the cat page. Also, in our product lists, we want to ensure that once the user clicks on this button, they are able to add items to cart. So we're going to use an onClick method, but first we need to call the add to cart function. Add to cart. So we'll use this add to cart function. We'll call the add to cart function here. So on click, we'll call the function add to cart. Then we'll pass the product and the ID of the item that we want to add to our cart. Okay, so now that we have that already, next is for the navigation bar to show the number of items that has added to cart. So right here, I initialize it with 0. So we need to extract the quantity. So const quantity will be equals to use context shop context, and we're going to use the quantity here. Quantity. So you can see right here that if we click on this icon, it's going to lead us to the cart page because we've established a link already. And also, if I add this, let's say we add 2 items to cart, you can see the quantity of items that has been added to cart. If I click on this as well, you can see items is 2. The cart details is still empty because we're yet to work on that. So we're going to do that right now. So let's go. So we're going to close this. Then we can now work on our cart details page. So for the cart details page, we need to pass our item as a parameter and then extract the functions from shop context. So in our context, we need the remove from cart function. We need the increase quantity and decrease quantity function. So I'm going to add both. And also, that's what we need. And then let me close this so that we can have a larger screen. So we're extracting, so use context would be equals to shop context. Okay, another thing we need to do is to destructure item. So for item, the name, the ID, the image of the item that is being added to cart, the price, and then the amount, everything will be equal to item. So now that we have done this, we can now create our UI. So we'll have a div tag for cart item. Inside this cart item is where we're going to have the cart details, quantity, price, and total. So that means we're going to have 4 div tags. The first one will take a class name of cart product details. Here we'll have the image, we'll have the product info and the trash icon. So let's just have product info as a div tag. So inside this is where we're going to have the name of the item that has been added to cart and then the trash icon. So I'm just going to type in trash. Like I said, you can just type in the keyword and React is going to suggest list of icons that will match it. So we're using this icon, and here we want to ensure that once the user clicks on the icon, we use an onClick, they can remove this specific item from cart. So I'll call the remove from cart function, and also I'm going to pass the ID. Then I'll close this cart. So if you're selecting from React icon, ensure that the import rule is also here. Okay, so now for the image, I'm just going to pass the image, and also the name. I'll pass the name of the item. Okay, so that is for the product info. The next thing is the next div tag is the quantity control. So we'll have quantity as a class name. So for the quantity control, we'll have two button tag, and in between the button, we're going to have a span tag that will take the amount. For each of the button, the first one is going to be the decrease button, that is the remove button. So I'm just going to type in remove to get the remove icon. So these are several icons that I can choose from. So I'm just going to use this one here. And then on the button itself, I'll use an on-click method to call the decrease quantity function. Decrease quantity, then I'll pass the ID. Then for the second button, it's going to be the increase. So I'll use the add icon. React is going to suggest list of icons that will match this. Okay, so we have several icons here that we can choose from. So I'm just going to use this one here. Let's see. The advantage of going to the website is you're going to see how the icon looks like. Okay, so if you're typing the keyword to select from, that means you know the icon that you want to use already. Okay, so I don't know. I'm just going to use. Let me just type in the icon. I'm just going to use this icon right here. And on the button, we'll use an on-click method to call the increase quantity function. So increase quantity, and then we'll pass ID. Okay. Now for this div tag, it's going to be for price. So I'm going to give it a class name of price, and right here we're going to have the price. So I'm just going to pass price. I've already destructured items, so it's just easy for me to pass price. Then the last div tag is for the total, and we'll get the total by multiplying price times amount. This is the cart details. So now let us see this in action. I'm going to add these items to cart, two items. You can see right here showing that we have two items. Now you can see the items. This is the image, the name of the item, the icon, quantity control to increase and decrease. You can see that the price is changing as well. This is the second item, and this is the cart summary. So we're going to style it now, so it's going to look much more presentable. So let's style. I'm going to open cart.css, but first we need to import our CSS file into our GSX file. So I'm going to import /cats.css, and then we'll start styling. We'll start with the cat container. I'll set the display here to reflect, justify content, space between, padding will take 20 pixels, and then we'll have a gap of 15 pixels. Next is the left section, so cat left. I'll set the width to take 65% of the screen size. The background color should be white. Padding will take 20 pixels. And then we have the cat header. Before the header, let's just start this cat right so that we can set the width as well. So cat right, I'm going to set the width to 30% of the screen. Then the background color should take this color code. Padding will be 20 pixels. Border radius should take 10 pixels. Okay, so we can continue with the cat header. Display, I'm going to set that to flex. Justify content, space between, margin top should take 20 pixels, and then the width should be bold. And then we have this icon here. I'm going to give it a class name so that I can style it. Delete cards. So for delete cards, I'm going to set the font size to 22 pixels. And then we have the span tag in the second cart header. So cart header span, we'll set the font size to 20 pixels, and then margin left, I'm going to do 90 pixels. Then we have this cart details, we're going to style it later. We have the summary item. So for summary item, I'm going to set display to flex, justify content, space between, margin top of 10 pixels. Then for the last summary item, I'm going to add another class name because I want to style it separately. So summary item dot total cost. I want the font weight to be bold, and I want the font size to take 18 pixels. Okay, then we have this checkout button. We'll set the width of this to 100%. Background color should take red. Text color should be white. Padding of 15 pixels. We'll set border to none. Cursor, pointer, and then margin top should take 20 pixels. Okay, so now we can now style this cart details, which is the cart items. So I'm going to copy this cart item. I'm styling it in the same CSS file as this because we mounted these cart details inside this cart page. Okay, so I'll set the display to flex, justify content, space between, align item center. Then we have the cart product detail. So for cart product detail, display would be flex as well. Justify content. Okay, for cart item, that's not all. Align items, we'll have margin top of 20 pixels. I'm going to set the padding to 10 pixels 0, and then we'll have border bottom of 1 pixel solid, and this color code. Okay, so we can continue with this. Display flex, justify content, space between, align items at the center, and then max width of 50%. We have an image. Then we have the product info H3 and then the icon. So let's start the image first. Cart product details image. I'm going to set the width to 60 pixels and the height to 60 pixels as well. Margin right should take 20 pixels. Then product info H3. I'm going to set margin to 0, and then the font size should take 18 pixels. Then we have the quantity for our quantity control. So for quantity, display is flex, align items at the center. Then inside our quantity we have button, so we'll style the buttons dot quantity button. I'll I'll set the width to 30 pixels, the height to 30 pixels, background color. I'll set border to none. Cursor will be pointer. Display will be flex. Align items center. Justify content center. And then we'll set the font size to 18 pixels. Then we have a span tag in between the two buttons. So dot quantity span tag. I'll set the margin to 0, 10 pixels. And lastly, we have the price and the total. So dot price command dot total. I'm going to style both. I'll set the font size to 16 pixels, and then the color with this color code. So now this is what this looks like at the end of the day. Okay, so the next thing we need to work on now is the product details page. That means that if we click on the image of the product, it should lead us to the page displaying the details of that particular product that we click on the image. So guys, let's get to that. If you have not subscribed to my channel at this point, please do well to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and I promise you there would be more detailed tutorial. We're going to have full stack projects like e-commerce websites, e-learning websites, food ordering system, hotel booking system, restaurant reservation, travel tour website, and many more. So please do well to subscribe to my channel. Alright, so let's work on our product details page. So for our product details page, first we need to extract our add to cart function because we want to be able to add to cart on the page. So const add to cart would be equal to use context shop context. Oh, come on, shop context. So we need to import shop context, import shop context from dot forward slash components slash shop context. Okay. Also, for the product details page, we need to get our product data from our asset folder. So import product data from our data file. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to get the ID of that product that we want to view its page from the URL. So we're going to have const ID will be equals to use params from React Router DOM. Once we have the ID of that product that we want to view the details of the page, we're now going to find the ID of that product that matches with the one that we have in our product data, this product data, to display the product. So I'm going to create a variable that's going to store that. So const product is going to store whatever we're going to write now. So we want to use the find method to find the ID that we're generating from our URL parameter. We want to find the ID in the product data file. If they match, would display the product object. What I'm trying to say is we want to get the ID of a particular product that want to view its page from the URL. Once we have gotten that ID from the URL parameter, we will now take that ID and then scan it through the product data, which is this file right here, to get a match. Let's say we have ID 1, ID 2, ID 3. If we're getting the ID from our URL, we want to scan it through this product data object to look for a match. So when we get a match, we're now going to display that product object. So let us write the code. Product data dot find method products To display, we want to return product.id from data file that matches with the ID that we're extracting from our URL. Okay, and the ID that we're extracting from our URL can come as a string. So we need to ensure that it is an integer, because the ID that we have saved right here is not a string, it's an integer. So right here we're going to use parse int, then we'll pass the ID. So we've converted the ID that we're getting from our URL to an integer here, and then we want to find a match with products.id from our product data. So that is basically what we just did now. So once we have that, we can now display the product. Okay, so let us create our UI. So we'll have product detail, we'll have two sides, details left and details right. Now for the left section of the details, we're going to display the image of the product, and that is going to take product.image, product.image. This product here that is going to store what we're finding here. Okay, so product.image. Then on the right side, we're going to have an h3 tag for the name, product.name. After the name, we're going to have price. We'll have two p tags. The first one will be for product.price, and the price is going to be in dollars, so we'll add the dollar sign, and then this is going to take product.description, and after the description, we're going to have our button to add to carts, So for this button as well, we'll call our onClick function to call the add to cart, add to cart, and then we'll pass product and ID. So this first p tag, I'll give it a class name of product price, and this will take a class name of product description. So now let us style product details.css. But first we need to import our CSS file. So product details.css. So now let us start styling. We'll start with product detail. Display, I'm going to set this to flex. Padding will take 80 pixels. And then we have the details left. In the details left, we only have an image. So we're just going to set the image, the width will take 460 pixels. And then we'll move on to the right section. So for the right, we'll set the padding of 70 pixels, and then we have an h3 tag, we have p tag. Okay, so let's start with the h3 tag. I'll set the font size to 30 pixels. Then we have the product price, details right, product price. I'll set the font size to 22 pixels. The color will be red. Margin top will take 10 pixels. And we have the product description. So dot details right dot product description. I'll set the font size to 20 pixels, and then the color will take this color code. Margin top will take 15 pixels, and lastly we have the button. So dot details right button, padding will take 1 rem, 3.6 rem. Margin top will take 15 pixels. Border will be none. Background color will be red, and then color white Okay, so this is what the product details is, and now we need to establish a link between the image in our product list so that it can lead us to the product details page. So right here, I'll create a link tag from React Route add-on. We're going to select it from React Route add-on. So once you just type in link, you're going to see this. It might take a while, so you just chill so that it can import directly, or you can do it manually. So in this link right here, I would set the path, and this will be a dynamic path, right? Because we're using a dynamic route. So this will be slash product slash dollar sign, then curly braces product dot id. Okay, so now if I click on this now, you can see the image. If I click on this, you can see this as well. If I click on this, you can see it leads us to the product details page. If I click on this, it leads us to the product details page, and you can see in the URL slash product slash id. So this is working perfectly well, and now we need to work on the footer section. So I'm going to close this, close this, close this, and then open our footer. So for our footer section now, we'll create a div tag with the class name of footer, then footer contents. After footer contents, we'll have the copyright. So copy inside the footer contents, we're going to have the name and the social. So footer name, and we'll have h2, the name of the website, then we'll have footer socials. This is where we're going to have icons. So I'm just going to type in Facebook to get the icon. React is going to suggest list of icons that will match this keyword Facebook that I can select from. As you can see, it's showing loading. I'm just going to select this first one. The second one, let's say Instagram. React is going to suggest list of icons that will match this keyword that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to select this one as well. And lastly, Twitter, now X. So you're going to see list of icons as well, and then we'll close this now. You can see that everything has imported already. So each of these, I want to give them a class name of footer icon. So lastly, we have our copyright section. It's going to take this word right here. Okay, so now let us style the footer. So we're going to import the CSS file into the GSX file. So we'll start with footer itself. So footer, I'll set the background color to black. I'll set all text color to white. Padding bottom of 3 rem. Then we have the footer content next. So footer content display would be flex, justify content, space between, padding of 30 pixels, and then border bottom of 2 pixels solid, and this color code. Then we have the socials. We'll set the display to flex, and we'll have a gap of 10 pixels. Then we have the footer icon. So for the footer icon, we'll set the font size to 22 pixels, margin left to 10 pixels, then copyright section, text align center, padding of 15 pixels. So this is what the footer looks like at the end of the day. Okay, so this is what our website looks like now. Alright, so this is the end of this tutorial. Please do well to like, subscribe, share, drop a comment. See you on the next one. Bye.